Lucio, welcome to Trade Finance Talks TV.
Oh, thank you very much, Deepesh.
Such a pleasure, and here we are at ITFA in Porto. So can you give a quick introduction? Who are you, where are you from, and what do you do?
Oh, thank you. It's a great conference, right? A great opportunity to talk about trade. So my name is Lucio Lopez. I'm a lawyer from Brazil. I'm a managing partner of the Brazilian law firm Lucio Lopez Advogados. We are a full-service law firm, and we mainly assist foreign lenders, banks, financial institutions, funds, and insurers, and other companies that, in connection with their trade and structured finance businesses in Brazil or M&A equity investments in the country.
Sure, so you've got a really good overview on what's going on, and we've seen political turmoil, COVID, the commodities, superstorm, and I think that's disproportionately affected emerging markets and developing markets like Brazil. Can you paint a picture of what that's meant for trade in Brazil?
Yeah, Brazil became a major producer and exporter of soft and hard commodities over the past 10 years. And so this key position of a producer and exporter has brought major advantages for companies in Brazil with this hiking prices, and even for financial institutions that do business and provide service to these companies, because now you have better balance sheets because companies are more liquid and willing to do more trade. So COVID, although was bad for the world, but in terms of trade in Brazil, particularly in the commodity sector, has been very positive.
Good. And can you give us an overview of some of the trade corridors in Brazil and what the key challenges are and also what the key opportunities are?
Brazil represents 50% of Latin America's GDP. So that presents so many opportunities for companies in trade and for lenders, insurance, and other investors to work with these companies. But there are several challenges, and over the years, we as legal counsel to these foreign investors in Brazil, we identified 4 key aspects that generally we see some that do very well in Latin America and Brazil pay attention to, and the others that face more risks do not pay attention. One is risk assessment. Generally, the ones that face problems in doing business in the country run a poor risk assessment, due diligence. So once you risk assess that particular sector or a company or that product that fits into that market, you need to due diligence the company properly. So dig into the real information that will tell you if there is a real risk, a material risk or not. Third is think about like trade finance, commodity finance. Commodity finance, you think about you financing soybeans. There is a cycle there, so you need to identify the cycle and fit your collateral or your documentation that fits into that cycle. Plantation, storage, and export. So that's the third. And the fourth is surveillance. So once the lender hit the button and wire the money down to finance a company in Brazil or in Latin America, you need to surveil. You need to pay attention regularly of the events that are positive or adverse events throughout the term of the facility, so that you reduce the risk of doing business in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are the biggest legal challenges around trade in Latin America and mainly in Brazil?
There are several challenges when you do business in countries that are in developing states, right? But I think Brazil accounting for this major part of GDP and activity in trade finance has done some good developments in the local, in its business environment, such as There was a major labor reform back in 2016. Brazil accounted back in 2016 to 90% of the total labor lawsuits worldwide. 90% came from Brazil.
Wow.
So this labor reform reduced dramatically the number of lawsuits, that it reduced costs. Second, there was major improvements in agribusiness laws, so that it created better business and trade environment and some new collateral instruments for foreign lenders doing business in the country. Third, new debt and capital market securities, so these companies can issue debt and raise funds and become more liquid and finance their trade. And the fourth item that's very important is that the Brazilian Central Bank deregulated the market, so it was very monopolized by 4 or 5 biggest banks in Brazil. So now you have a wave of fintechs coming to the market, and some of them doing financing trade. But the challenge remains, like in logistics, in infrastructure, but there's several improvements that are substantial in material that reduce the country risk of doing business in Brazil, particularly, which is a major market in Latin America.
Very, very interesting, and I think we're going to see quite a lot from digitalisation and fintechs increasing their presence in Brazil, and that is going to have a material impact, as well as some of the interesting legal updates in terms of adopting digital documents, right?
Yeah, so that digital has, if you talk about day-to-day business and transactions, you see digital being impacting positively. So documentation being signed digital. The trade documents that, like the export, the shipping documents being digitalized. So that speeds up the whole process. So that's very good. And we have seen this process being used in Latin America and very much in Brazil.
Yeah. Lucio, it's been such a pleasure having you on Trade Finance Talks TV, giving us those really important insights on Brazilian trade, some of the challenges, but also some of the interesting insights. So we look forward to keeping an eye on that market and meeting in due course. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Deepesh.